A reporter asked South Africa's National Police Commissioner about his relationship with a convicted drug smuggler. The question was direct. Glenn Agliotti had just been arrested for drug trafficking, for involvement in a mining magnate's murder, for running a criminal syndicate. And Jackie Selebi, the country's top cop, the man who ran South Africa's entire police force, was his friend. The reporter wanted clarification. Surely there was distance now. Surely the police commissioner would distance himself from an accused murderer and confirmed drug dealer. Selebi looked into the camera. "He is my friend," he said. "Finish and klaar." Finish and klaar, Afrikaans for "that's the end of it." No apology, no explanation, no shame. Just a statement, a line that would define his downfall. Because Jackie Selebi wasn't just South Africa's police commissioner, he was also president of Interpol, the international police organization coordinating law enforcement across 194 countries. He was supposed to fight organized crime. Instead, he was being paid by it. This is the story of Jackie Selebi, how South Africa's top cop became a criminal's best friend, how he accepted over 1.2 million rand in bribes, designer clothes, and Louis Vuitton handbags, how he protected drug dealers, tipped off smugglers, and obstructed investigations, and how, when it all came crashing down, the entire South African justice system nearly collapsed trying to protect him. Jacob Sello Selebi was born in Johannesburg in 1950. He grew up under apartheid. Like many young black South Africans, he joined the struggle against white minority rule. He became an anti-apartheid activist, joined the African National Congress, went into exile in Zambia, Hungary, and the Soviet Union. In 1987, he was elected leader of the ANC Youth League while in exile. When apartheid ended in 1994 and Nelson Mandela became president, Selebi returned home. He was a liberation hero, a comrade, a man who had sacrificed for freedom. The ANC rewarded him. From 1995 to 1998, he served as South Africa's ambassador to the United Nations. Then, in January 2000, President Thabo Mbeki appointed him National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, South Africa's top cop. At 50 years old, Selebi had reached the pinnacle of law enforcement, and 4 years later, he would reach even higher. In 2004, Jackie Selebi was elected president of Interpol. It was a prestigious position, the head of the world's largest international police organization. Interpol coordinates cross-border investigations, tracks fugitives, fights transnational crime, drug trafficking, human smuggling, terrorism. When Selebi was elected, Interpol issued a glowing statement. Jackie Selebi is a man of the highest professionalism and integrity. South Africa celebrated, one of their own, leading global policing. President Mbeki praised him. The ANC praised him. The media praised him. Jackie Selebi was untouchable, or so he thought. But while Selebi was building his public image, he was also building something else, a relationship with Glenn Agliotti. Agliotti was a businessman. Officially, he dealt in second-hand goods, imported clothes, small-scale trading. Unofficially, he was a drug trafficker, a fixer, a man with connections to South Africa's criminal underworld. He was known as the landlord, and somehow, in the 1990s, at the ANC headquarters in Johannesburg, he met Jackie Selebi. The exact circumstances are disputed. Agliotti claimed he was considering donating money to returning ANC exiles. Selebi needed funds. They connected. What started as a business acquaintance became a friendship that would destroy Selebi's career. The relationship deepened after 2000 when Selebi became police commissioner. Agliotti and Selebi socialized together. They went shopping together. They vacationed together. And Agliotti started paying. Designer clothes from Santon City, one of Johannesburg's most exclusive malls. Agliotti would take Selebi shopping, and everything Selebi wanted, Agliotti would buy. Suits, shoes, accessories. For Selebi's wife, Anne, a Ron 10,000 red patent Louis Vuitton handbag. A birthday gift, Agliotti said, from a drug dealer to the police commissioner's wife. And cash, lots of cash. Over 5 years, from 2000 to 2005, Agliotti paid Selebi over 1.2 million rand. In return, Selebi provided something invaluable: protection. When British authorities were investigating Agliotti for international drug trafficking, Selebi tipped him off. He passed along confidential intelligence reports, warned him about surveillance, helped him stay one step ahead. When South African investigators started looking into Agliotti's activities, Selebi intervened. He used his position as National Police Commissioner to shield his friend from scrutiny. And when Brett Kebbel, a mining magnate involved in massive fraud, was murdered in September 2005, Agliotti called Selebi. From the scene of the murder, Selebi took the call. He knew Agliotti was involved. He did nothing. Because by then, Selebi wasn't just corrupt, he was complicit. Brett Kebbel's murder was the beginning of the end. Kebbel was a flamboyant, eccentric mining tycoon. He controlled several major mining companies. But behind the wealth, he was running a massive fraud, embezzling hundreds of millions from his own companies. By 2005, it was all collapsing. Investors were closing in. Auditors were investigating. Kebbel was facing criminal charges. So he did something extraordinary. He arranged his own murder. He hired hitmen through his security chief, Clinton Nassif, to kill him, and assisted suicide. He would die, his family would collect insurance, his crimes would be buried with him. The plan was executed on September 27, 2005. Kebbel was shot 5 times in his Mercedes on a Johannesburg highway. But the plan unraveled. Investigators discovered it wasn't a random killing, it was orchestrated, and Glenn Agliotti was involved. In November 2006, Agliotti was arrested, charged with Kebbel's murder. And when investigators started digging into Agliotti's network, they found something else: payments to Jackie Selebi, shopping receipts, bank transfers, witness statements. The National Police Commissioner, the man running South Africa's entire police force, had been on a drug dealer's payroll. In September 2007, the National Prosecuting Authority issued an arrest warrant for Selebi. The charges: corruption, fraud, racketeering, defeating the ends of justice. South Africa was stunned. The head of the police, the president of Interpol, accused of being a criminal. But Selebi fought back. He claimed it was a political conspiracy, that rivals within the ANC were targeting him, that the charges were fabricated. And he had a powerful ally, President Thabo Mbeki. Mbeki was Selebi's friend. They were comrades from the struggle. Mbeki had appointed him police commissioner, had supported his Interpol presidency, and now Mbeki moved to protect him. In a shocking move, Mbeki suspended Vusi Piccoli, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, the man responsible for charging Selebi. The official reason was vague: irretrievable breakdown in the working relationship. But everyone knew the truth. Piccoli was suspended because he was prosecuting Selebi. The message was clear: touch Selebi and you'll pay. But the pressure was mounting. In January 2008, Mbeki placed Selebi on extended leave as police commissioner. Selebi resigned as Interpol president. Interpol, which had once called him a man of the highest professionalism and integrity, now issued a different statement. Corruption is one of the most serious offenses that any police official can be accused of. And in South Africa, investigators kept digging. The Scorpions, an elite crime-fighting unit, were building the case against Selebi. Then something extraordinary happened. In January 2008, Gary Nell, the lead Scorpions investigator on the Selebi case, was arrested by Selebi's own police officers. 20 officers raided Nell's office, arrested him, charged him with corruption and defeating the ends of justice. The timing was suspicious. Nell was leading the investigation into Selebi, and suddenly he's arrested? It was widely seen as retaliation, an attempt to intimidate prosecutors, to delay Selebi's trial. Nell was released on bail. The charges were later dropped, but the damage was done. The Scorpions, the unit investigating Selebi, were disbanded in 2008. Some linked the decision directly to the Selebi and Jacob Zuma investigations. Powerful ANC politicians didn't want the Scorpions digging into their affairs, so they shut the unit down. But the case didn't die. In October 2009, Jackie Selebi's trial began. The prosecution's star witness, Glenn Agliotti, the drug dealer, the accused murderer, Selebi's friend, Finnish and Clar. Agliotti had made a deal: testify against Selebi, and he'd get a lenient sentence on his drug trafficking charges. And Agliotti talked. In court, Agliotti described the relationship, the shopping trips, the cash payments, the Louis Vuitton handbag for Selebi's wife. He testified that he'd paid Selebi over $1.2 million in bribes between 2000 and 2005. In exchange, Selebi provided confidential police intelligence, warned him about investigations, protected him from arrest. Selebi's defense? Denial. He claimed Agliotti was lying, that the payments were loans, not bribes, that he hadn't known Agliotti was a criminal. But the evidence was overwhelming: bank records, shopping receipts, witness testimony. On July 2, 2010, Judge Meyer Joffe delivered the verdict: guilty. Guilty of corruption. Judge Joffe didn't hold back. "You are an embarrassment to the police force," he told Selebi. "You are an embarrassment to the country." He noted that Selebi had shown complete contempt for the truth, that he'd lied repeatedly during the trial, that he had low moral fiber. On August 3, 2010, Selebi was sentenced to 15 years in prison, the minimum sentence for corruption under South African law. Selebi was 60 years old. He would spend the rest of his life in prison, or so it seemed. Selebi appealed. In December 2011, the Supreme Court of Appeal unanimously rejected his appeal. He was ordered to begin serving his sentence immediately. On December 21, 2011, Jackie Selebi, former National Police Commissioner, former Interpol president, was sent to prison. But he didn't stay long. In July 2012, after serving just 229 days, Selebi was released on medical parole. He had diabetes, kidney disease. His health was failing, his lawyers argued. He was allowed to go home, to live under house arrest in his Waterkloof, Pretoria suburb mansion. His wife, a nurse, supervised his dialysis. And Jackie Selebi, convicted of corruption, sentenced to 15 years, walked free after less than a year. On January 23, 2015, Jackie Selebi died. He was 64 years old. The official cause: complications from diabetes, kidney failure, and stroke. He died at home, never having served his full sentence, never having truly paid for his crimes. And Glenn Agliotti, he was acquitted of Brett Kebble's murder in November 2010. The judge ruled that the state's witnesses, including hitman Mikey Schultz, were unreliable, that Agliotti's involvement couldn't be proven beyond reasonable doubt. Agliotti walked free. He lived quietly in Johannesburg until June 2023, when he died in a hospital. An inquest was opened, but no foul play was suspected. The two men who had brought South Africa's justice system to its knees were both dead, and neither had faced full accountability. The Selebi case exposed something rotten at the core of South Africa's institutions. The man charged with fighting crime was being paid by criminals. The president of Interpol was on a drug dealer's payroll. And when he was finally caught, the entire system mobilized to protect him. The prosecutor was suspended. The investigators were disbanded. The president defended him. It took years and immense public pressure to bring Selebi to trial. And even then, he served less than a year of a 15-year sentence. "He is my friend, finish and clar." That line defined Jackie Selebi. Not his years in the anti-apartheid struggle, not his time as ambassador, not his presidency of Interpol, but his loyalty to a drug dealer. A loyalty that cost him everything: his career, his reputation, his freedom. And it cost South Africa something too: trust in the police, in the justice system, in the idea that powerful people can be held accountable. Because Jackie Selebi proved that in South Africa, if you're connected enough, even a corruption conviction doesn't mean you'll pay the full price. You'll serve 229 days, then go home and die free.